Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to sort of the first video back on this channel. Obviously I've been doing the podcast, it's been going great. Make sure you're subscribed because there's one coming out very soon. It's scheduled on the channel right now. But now I'm not doing a fitness video, I'm doing sort of a chat show, but it's sort of not going to go on the podcast because it sort of wouldn't fit in with the time, and I wanted to make a whole, not episode, but sort of just video on it, and that is the Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley fight, which unfolded yesterday evening. So firstly, I want to congratulate all the fighters and also the event organisers because it was a great event. It was well organised and they had some good fights on there. So last night we had 5 fights, including the main event. We'll start with the undercard fights and my thoughts and opinions on those, and then we'll work our way up to the main event of Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. So we started off at quite early in the morning with Tommy Fury versus Anthony Taylor. Now I think this was quite, in the build-up I was thinking this would be quite a close fight, but just before it started I looked at Taylor's record and listening to John Fury and people like Joe Weller talking about it was quite obvious. I think Tommy Fury was always going to win this fight. I think Tommy Fury was a bit disappointed he didn't win it by knockout or by TKO and it went to points, but you know, he's still a win's a win at the end of the day, and it was a decent performance from Tommy Fury. Unlucky to Anthony Taylor, but hey, Tommy Fury got it, and who knows, we might be seeing Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury in the future. And yeah, so Tommy Fury won this on unanimous decision. He scored 10 in all the rounds from all the judges, and Anthony Taylor scored 36 from all the judges. And it was only a 4-round fight, which I think Tommy Fury definitely needs to be fighting 6 rounds now. I think he's definitely past the point of fighting 4 rounds. He needs to be fighting 6. It was scheduled for 6 actually. Here's a fun Alfie fact. It was scheduled for 6 rounds, and then literally a couple of hours before the fight they changed it to 4. I don't know why. I don't know if that was Anthony Taylor's doing or Tommy Fury's doing. I suspect it was Anthony Taylor's, but yeah, there's a little fun fact for you. It was supposed to be 6 rounds. Next we had a fight that I didn't know the guys that well. I know Tommy Fury, obviously UK and stuff, but I don't know these guys that well, but they were very good fighters. And yeah, Montana Love and Ivan Baranchyk, I think I said that right. Love defeated him in the 7th round with a TKO. And now this fight again was quite a weird one because obviously I didn't know them, so I've never seen them fight before. I didn't know styles and stuff, so I didn't place a prediction. But once the first round was done, I thought Baranchyk was actually going to win. I thought he looked more comfortable in the ring. I thought he looked a bit more like a boxer, and I thought he was landing more punches. But Montana Love just sort of kept going, and he kept throwing, and I think he thrived in those later rounds, which made Baranchyk really struggle, and which then resulted in the knockdowns and the TKO. But yeah, it was a good performance. I'd say it was the fight of the night. I think it was definitely the best fight, the best in technique, and I think they did a really good job. It was TKO as well, so it was a bit of drama, and which is what we love to see. And yeah, I think that was a really good fight, best fight of the night. And oh yeah, it was a corner stoppage actually. I forgot to mention that. It was Barancyk's coach that sort of said we're not sending him back out. It wasn't stopped by the ref, which was interesting. But it was only going to go one way, I think, and that was Love winning from the 7th round. So that was the second fight of the night, and I think that was personally my favourite and the best fight of the night. Funny enough, the 2 people that I didn't know. Next up was another person that I sort of do know a little bit. I've watched once before. Daniel Dubois versus Joe Cusumano. And now this was a stunner of a performance from Daniel Dubois. I'm sure you have heard what has happened because it's been all over everywhere. Daniel Dubois defeated him via 1st round knockout, and it was a masterclass. I think Daniel Dubois now does need to be fighting people more his speed, I'd say, but he doesn't want to chuck himself in the deep end with like Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, I think he just needs to take it slow. I know he called out someone at the end of the fight. I think he just needs to take it slow. You know, he's like Joe Weller and the people on the BT Sport. Also, shout out to the BT Sport guys. They were absolutely amazing. Joe Weller, John Fury, all of those people were great on that show. But they were saying that he just needs to take it slow, and hopefully he's got the people around him in his training corner to sort of keep it going slow, like not to jump in the deep end. He's only, I think, 23, correct me if I'm wrong. I think he's about 23, so he's still very young, not like Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, who are much older, much more experienced. But doesn't take away what Daniel Dubois did, and he was amazing. Big up the UK, and congratulations, Daniel. We had the penultimate event. Now, I thought this event was very interesting because it was only, I'm just going to point out, it was the only women fight on the card, and I'm just again going to point out, I don't watch a lot of women's events or women's boxing, so I was quite intrigued to watch this fight of Serrano versus Mercado. Again, both people that I don't know. One's Mexican and one is, I've forgotten. But yeah, Serrano was very composed, I think, from watching her. Obviously, she's got much more experience under her belt. She's had 40 wins, 30 by knockout. Mercado's only had, I think, 15 and 5 by knockout. So, the much more experienced Serrano. And it went the distance, which I was very surprised. I thought Serrano was definitely going to get a TKO. I said round 7. Similar to Lowe versus Branchik. But yeah, it went the distance, which I think Mercado showed great bravery to survive the 10 rounds with Serrano, because Serrano is amazing. I think towards the end, Mercado was starting to get a bit of a beating. I think she had a blooded nose, a blooded eye, or something. And I think it was, if it wasn't for the if it wasn't the last round, I think the ref would have stopped the fight. But because it was the last round, he sort of just let her go, and she survived 10 rounds. But Amanda Serrano won by unanimous decision, 97 to 93, 98 to 92, 99 to 91. So congratulations to her. She's very experienced now, and I'm hopefully looking forward to seeing her fight again. You know, because it was really interesting to watch. So that was the penultimate event. And then finally we had the main event of Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. Now I think I'm going to tell you through my predictions, like what I was predicting, and then what I was thinking during the fight, what I was thinking after the fight, and then what I was thinking after they announced it. So I'm going to go right through my thought process. So obviously this is a bit of a weird fight. I couldn't really call it. Everyone said Tyron Woodley should win because of experience in the octagon and stuff like that. You know, he should win. Realistically, he's a welterweight world champion. Jake Paul's a YouTuber. Like, Tyron Woodley should win. But then again, Jake Paul picked this fight. Why would he pick a fight you think he would lose? Jake Paul's very selective in his opponents, and I think that also made me sway towards Jake Paul winning, and obviously he did. I'm just going to say that he did win. I think when someone asked me who do you think was going to win, I did say Jake Paul. I thought Jake Paul was going to win that, definitely, because of his past experience in boxing. Because that was also Tyron Woodley's pro debut of boxing, like his boxing pro debut. So Jake Paul's had 3 fights before in professional, 1 amateur. So I think that was discarded by a lot of people. A lot of people didn't take that on board, that Tyron Woodley hasn't fought in the ring ever. So it was a weird situation to be in. And then obviously the fight started, and I'd say about 6 seconds into the fight, I thought I knew what was going to happen. Tyron Woodley came in very, very low. Very similar to Anderson Gibb back in January of 2020. He came in very low, and I just thought Jake's going to land a straight right and knock him out. I thought 6 seconds in, but then again, I did start to think Tyron Woodley is quite a big guy. Like, I said it was going to be quite hard for Jake Paul to knock him out. Same with Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul back in June. It would have been quite hard for Mayweather to knock Logan Paul out because of his size and structure. So the fight started, round 1, and all I can say was it was boring. They were just standing off, and I thought, if this is going to be 7 rounds, then I don't know how the judges are going to pick a winner, because none of them are throwing. And then eventually, during round 3, maybe towards the end of round 2, Jake Paul did start to pick up the tempo a little bit. I think his coach was just saying, you've got to throw. You've got to get under that. Because they both had the same reach as well, 74 inches of reach. So I think that played a big part. But Tyron Woodley was much smaller, so I think he had to dip under more and try and get under his jab. Jake Paul's jab was very strong. Then we had the incident in, I think it was round 4, where Tyron Woodley did nearly knock Jake Paul down, and I thought that could have been it. Like, he got, I think it was a straight right and then a left hook, and then Jake Paul sort of fell against the ropes. He didn't get knocked down, to be fair. He did stay on his feet, but he sort of leant against the rope and managed to hold himself up. But it was very close to being a knockdown, and Tyron Woodley definitely won that round. But then I think Tyron Woodley sort of stood off again for a bit towards the end of round 5, 6, and obviously 7. Jake Paul, I think he did well to carry on and keep going, but you could tell he was gassed. His breathing was really heavy, and I think this fight meant a lot. Well, it didn't mean a lot, but I think it was worth a lot for Jake Paul, because I think it's given him a taste of what boxing's about. It's not about knocking guys out first round every fight, because that's all he's done at the moment. He's not had a fight that's gone past 2 rounds. So to go the full 8 rounds was impressive for Jake Paul. You know, I was impressed, because he's not gone a full fight. He's not had a full fight. He's not gone past the 2nd round in a professional fight ever. Obviously, he's fought Deji in an amateur fight where it went 6 rounds, I think. Yeah, in August 25th, 2018. But that was over 3 years ago. You know, so it's been a while since Jake Paul's had to actually carry on fighting for a long amount of time. But I think his gas tank was going, and I think if he was going to fight again, he'd need to work on his stamina. And then, when the fight ended, both fighters thought they'd won. And they both raised their arms as the bell goes for the end of round 8. And again, at this point, I can't call it, you know. I still thought, I think Jake Paul's got it. I think he's got it. He's thrown more. He's landed more. But then there was that situation in round 4 where Tyron Woodley did get a big hit on Jake Paul. And there's been a few others as well, seeing Jake Paul's like head fly back and stuff. I couldn't call it still. And then it went to the scorecards. One judge scored it in favour of Jake Paul of 77 to 75. One judge scored it in favour of Tyron Woodley, 75 to 77. Obviously Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley. So at this point it was a split decision. And then finally, the final judge scored it 78 to 74 for Jake Paul. So Jake Paul ends up winning the fight on split decision. Now, I agree with this result. I think Jake Paul did win that fight. In fact, I think it was a bit harsh that one judge scored it for Tyron Woodley. I think it should have been a unanimous decision, Jake Paul. I'm not saying I love Jake Paul, but I think he was the better fighter in that fight. But then this happened. Tyron Woodley, in the post-fight interview, decides that he thought he won the fight, which is fair enough. You know, you've got to back yourself, but then demands a rematch. And this is where I feel slightly sorry for Jake Paul, because he has just had 24 minutes to try and knock him out, and he didn't succeed. So why would Jake Paul want to fight him again? It'd just be, I don't know, I don't understand Tyron's thought process. You've just had nearly half hour to try and knock someone out, and you're demanding another half hour. Like, you've just had a long time. You've gone 8 rounds. You've had the time. I think, again, on the BT Sport, Joe Weller, I think, summed this up beautifully, saying, I think Tyron Woodley around the 4th round decided, alright, if I get to the end and lose, I can demand a rematch and I'll get a bigger payday. I'll get a double payday. You know, it's all about. I think for him, it's all about the money. I don't think he really cares about the boxing, which is a shame. But I think that was going through his mind around the 4th round. Like, if I can just survive, don't get knocked out. That's why he was standing off a lot. So I think that was great from Joe Bell. I think he banged it on the head with a nail there. Hit the nail on the head, that's the saying. Yeah, so congratulations to the people who won their fights. Commiserations to people that didn't. But I'm looking forward to watching the next event. And maybe Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury. Who knows? But I think it will be a little while before we see Jake Paul back in the boxing ring. Because of, he said in his post-fight interview, he's been doing this for 18 months now. He just needs to sit back a bit and decide where he wants to go next. Because he was also on his Instagram, he had this like big long hit list of people he wanted, like Canelo, Conor McGregor, probably Ortiz was on there, Logan Paul was on there, his brother. I think after that fight, he's had to go back and sort of go, whoa, that was against Tyron Woodley. How do I think I'm going to do against Canelo, who just has beat Billy Joe Saunders a couple of months ago? So, I don't know, I think it'll be a little while before we see Jake Paul back in the ring. I think it'll be next year. Anyway, that is my opinions on the event that happened last night. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Subscribe because there is a podcast coming out on Thursday. I hope you guys have enjoyed and I'll see you again for another video. Take care and peace.